people from Epic Games that were supposed to be sitting at this panel.
Oh, they're not here.
We gotta do an airport
There's some
announcement.
empty chairs. Would Kyle Hebert please come to the stage right now?
Kyle Hebert reports to the panel, please.
Would Kylie Hebert please make your way to the stagey? Kyrie Sherbet. Sherbet.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our panel that was delayed.
Yes.
But we're here now, so it's great.
Maybe we should shout out, hey everybody, the panel that was delayed, you can come back in now.
Pew, 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 pew. Panel time.
To the owner of a white Honda Civic parked out on the front lawn, your car looks cool. That's Sunday. This is Sunday vibes.
Yeah.
Sunday vibes. Before we get into probably what's just going to be a Q&A, let's do some self-introductions. Yeah. I don't know. I just did that, so I don't start now. It's
the real challenge. We should introduce
Kyle
each
has to
other.
start.
Like you introduce Erik as best you know.
That's a bad idea.
Bad idea.
All right, latecomer, you're first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kyle Hebert. I have voices in my head and sometimes I get paid to let them out. Anyway, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Bleach, Street Fighter, things like that. 7 Deadly Sins, My Hero Academia, a long list. Been doing this for a long time, and I'm very, very happy to be here, and I'm very even happier that you're here too. Woo! Next.
Sean Chiplock, professional voice actor, as you might have imagined from this panel. Genshin Impact, ReZero, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I already said ReZero, Trails of Cold Steel, but the one that everyone would talk about when I was Daddy Warbucks in my middle school production of Little Orphan Annie. My mom was the makeup designer for that, and she plastered on that mascara. Oh my gosh. That probably answers a few questions about myself that I can't discuss on stage today, but that's a story for another time. Next.
Hello, my name is Erik Scott Kimerer. I've done Demon Slayer, 7 Deadly Sins, Sailor Moon, One Punch Man, Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. I'm in ReZero as well. Excel World, I don't know if I said that, Maki. I've been doing this for a long time too.
Okay, sorry. This is my least favorite part because I can never, when I'm supposed to remember my resume, I can never remember what I've done. So, hi, I'm Abby Trott. I think I'm most known for voicing Nezuko in Demon Slayer. Okay, we're good. I'm also in Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I voice Annette. Most recently, Zom 100 and my love story with Yamada-kun at level 999. And I also sing the theme song to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Right! I still sing that to myself sometimes when I boot it up. You did a phenomenal
Oh
job.
my god, thank you. Let's sing it right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Everyone's being assigned a line. Now, is there any discussion we want to get into before we, Ooh, I'm going to start with a question, and then we can field it to people. I'm always interested in knowing, what was the character, it's a three-part, because we got time for this. What was the character that proved the most difficult unexpectedly, where you were like, I'll come in, I'll do this, oh, this is way more complex than I thought. What is the character that you knew was going to be difficult, so it was a challenge that you had to prepare for? And what was the character where from day one you were like, I own this, I'm in my element, and it was just a rock star experience from start to finish, and you're like, I can't wait to get to talk about this.
I guess I'll start. So, Gohan, starting 24 years ago, getting to just be a part of something and start my career and something I was already a fan of, it just felt natural to start voicing that. Things that have been difficult, it's not necessarily character-based, but more like the technicality of having to scream a lot in games for an extended amount of time. that can be rough on your voice, and you never know how bad your voice is going to sound at the end of it, because a lot of times they don't even tell you before you go in that, hey, today is a day we're going to trash your vocal cords. Sometimes they do, and it's a really nice thing to get a heads up. But if they don't, then you don't know going in. That's like, by the way, we have 3 or 4 hours of nothing but screaming. That has happened to me more than once in my career, and I sounded shredded at the end of it. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've dealt with.
From time to time, I will hear you do the Hadoken at your table, and it's interesting. This is something you pick up on when you've been doing this career, but I can like immediately tell that you've learned to place it in such a way that you don't scream it, you project it in such a way that it's got the force it needs to have, but you could probably do that a lot longer than someone who's actually, like tightening their throat up.
Yeah, there's all these things. They teach you different techniques. I don't really know any necessarily. I mean, I may have just over the course of years just unintentionally, subconsciously trained myself to do that, like when I'm doing voices at the booth and all that. But for an extended amount of time, I have to do other life hacks like Chinese cough syrup just to make double sure that we're not going to end up sounding like we gargle razor.
Good old Nijam Papakoa, baby.
That's right.
It's the only foreign language term I understand in that language.
True facts.
For myself, I like to start, definitely the one that was an absolute challenge that I knew would be Noob Saibot in Mortal Kombat 11, because I got to rip out my Dr. Claw Black Doom voice of going all the way down here, which is very deep. But what a lot of people don't know is that, or if you've ever practiced, you know that that kind of voice, very demonic, is very, you have to tighten up your throat because you're very violently vibrating your larynx and your vocal flap, your vocal fold, I should say. So it's very tight. And so if you open up your throat too much, if I start here, but then I open it up wide, it doesn't sound very intimidating. The problem is, as I'm sure anyone who's been in a fighting game will tell you, people in fighting games do not constrict their throats. They're going, they're being very, so how does a character who is very tight-throated project their voice as they're thrown against a wall? Like, if he's throwing a Hadoken, he probably goes, very strong. My character, how do I make him not go, it sounds pathetic. So, trying to do that for 2 hours straight, because I don't pretend it's unique. Pretty much most folks can do some form of that voice, but can you do it for 2 hours straight and not be completely destroyed and then come back the following day and do it again? That's where the real challenge came in. So I'm very grateful to the folks who worked with me on that. Difficult, unexpectedly, was probably Rivali, just because he's a jerk. He's an asshole, excuse my French. But just because I came in with this understanding that he was a little bit more eccentric, a little bit more of a show-off than they wanted him to portray. So that was an important lesson in working with the team, with the sound designer, with the director, with the client, to find the right happy medium that everyone was comfortable with. And then something I knew I would excel at, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, for sure. Anyone who's on that show knows that the director was like, listen, if you think you're going too far, you're exactly where you need to be. And any less than that, and I'm gonna ask you to do it again, even more, and ham it up even more, which was great, because in an industry where we are constantly being told, less is more grounded, more real. I don't care if you're that energetic in real life, it's not real to the audience, you need to be somebody else for a while. Being told, no, bigger. No, I need even bigger was such a catharsis. It was so nice, and I had a blast doing that.
So the one I knew challenging going in was probably actually my first big role, my first main role, which was Harayuki Arita in Excel World. And that was difficult for me because by then I was just kind of, I really didn't have any credits. I just came off of Neuro Rise of the Yokai Clan doing Inugami. And most of the stuff that I had practiced with in workshops and the like are, protagonists, but very standard protagonists, the Kiritos and the stuff like that. So when I get cast as this little wimpy fat MC, and I have to speak like this all the time and just really wimpy, and it's so, I like struggle to keep myself in that tone, and I really wanted to go into like my hero voice, but no, he's a little wimp. He gets like a mech suit, or I don't know how to describe it inside the video game, but he gets this avatar that looks really cool, and he still sounds like this. It was a little bit difficult, like my cognitive dissonance trying to match the character with myself, but the one that was unexpectedly challenging was for me, JoJo.
Really?
If only because I was in Golden Wind, Part 5, and we recorded that during the start of COVID. So, if you guys don't know, I do Sekko in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, who's a very feral kind of character, he always wants his sugar cubes. And I was doing this in a 4x4 sealed whisper room with no ventilation in the middle of a California summer. So
The heat stroke must have helped, though.
Oh yeah, that's kind of how it helped. I was basically telling the director every few minutes, it's like, I gotta let the funk out of the booth, guys. Can you just give me a minute? And the one that I knew that I would excel going into, that one's difficult. I would say Gother from Seven Deadly Sins, because I love dry humor, I love deadpan, so when I got that character, I knew that it was going to be a lot of that, and it was going to be so much fun. So I kind of felt I could slip into that so easily, and sure enough, Gother's been my longest running character, so I started, I don't remember when we started Seven Deadly Sins. It was years ago, but
Seven Deadly Sins is that show I keep thinking like it's run its course, it's done now, right? And then they drop another 6 episodes out of nowhere.
That's the problem with it. Like, I love Gother. I love playing him. I'll play him to the end of my days. But when we were wrapping up the third season and the manga material was done, I was like, okay, I'm saying goodbye to Gother. It's been a good 5 years. It's bittersweet. And then a few months later, Netflix is like, we've got a movie. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's an epilogue. I love that. Like, now I'm going in, I'm saying goodbye to Gother. It's going to be bittersweet. It's been a good 5. Now we got 2 more movies. What? And we're Borutoing this. What?
So in about a year from now, when they announce Excel World Remake.
Oh my gosh. But no, I mean, Gother doesn't age, so you can do a 100-year time skip and he'll still be around. Yep.
Well, what were all the things again?
Role that you knew was going to be difficult going into it, just the experience. A role that was unexpectedly difficult, just a challenge you had to overcome, and one that you knew from the get-go you were going to excel at.
I'm going to start with the last one. Okay. So, Annette from Fire Emblem, I was like, oh, this character is like basically me in a video game form. She's like very studious, and she works really hard, and she's clumsy. She trips over barrels, and she sings little weird songs to herself. And I was like, all of those things are me, so this is perfect casting right here. So that one, yeah. One that I knew was gonna be hard was Carly from Back 4 Blood. Has anyone played Back 4 Blood? It's a zombie game.
I did the beta program.
Yeah, I'm Carly. And Back 4 Blood is a very violent game, so there were situations where they're like, okay, and now you're being eaten alive by a hag, go. And it's a lot of screaming, and that is vocally stressful and really bad for your vocal cords. So I had to kind of prepare for that and pace myself. One that was unexpectedly hard. That's a hard one. I'm trying to think. Because like most roles that are gonna be difficult, like I pretty much can tell going in that I'm like, I know what I'm in for. I got one. So I recorded some NPC roles for a game. It's a very large game, and the scripts were long. So long, in fact, that I had, I think about 6 sessions total to get through. And when I got to the session, they're like, okay, so what accent can you do here? And so we landed on a Russian accent.
Of course.
And there was a lot of those efforts in that script. So there's lots of dialogue, just talking, having conversations, and then towards the end, it's like, we've run out of like calm things, and so now it's all. Now it's all heightened screaming, and so getting through that was pretty rough, but we did it, and I had a good time doing it because it was a different type of thing that don't normally get to do, you know. So yeah, that one.
To touch on what she said a little bit ago into that question, yeah, there are many cases in especially games that want to be realistic or have visceral fighting elements where we have a whole portion of a session dedicated to getting hit in the neck with an axe or getting lit on fire and burning to death. And believe it or not, it's actually very difficult to find people who have experienced that in real life who can bring that experience into the booth. So we have to fake it.
To have a really good imagination.
They really discourage method acting.
Is it weird that I really like doing deaths?
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! I mean, I think it's silly whenever I have to be electrocuted and I have to literally go and like I get a check for it. I think it's great. So.
Hello. My mic is cutting in and out. I'm so sorry. If you guys have any questions, you can line up right here at this microphone.
I was actually saying, I'll make it easy for them. If you guys want to sit, I could just run out to them. We can make it personable.
You're gonna do that?
I'll do that. Hell yeah.
Well, how's the feedback going to be?
Yeah, what's the feedback situation?
We'll find out the hard way.
Ready?
I will cover it with my hand.
It's a learning situation.
I will stay far away from the speakers. Just raise your hands, I'll come over to you. All right, I'm gonna give myself exercise and run across the way and go to the front first. You first, sir.
Hey guys, how you doing? This question is for you, Sean.
Oh God.
How did the whole situation with the bag go?
It's right up there, we're good, we found it. It's all good, yeah.
The bag!
Yeah, the bag! Someone was very kind and they moved into like a less obvious area of the bathroom. Yeah. I just didn't look well enough, so. Yeah, I'm probably gonna run it through the laundry when I get back, because Lord knows what that floor has seen this weekend. Another question, not involving the bathroom floor.
This is a question for all of you guys. What character would you like to voice act that you haven't done yet?
If you could do any character, I'm gonna say like from the history of time, what would be your ultimate like get? I'm gonna say Samus from Metroid. I love Metroid so much.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
And for me, in the same vein, Link from Legend of Zelda. But ever since the 80s cartoon, Link is probably not going to get a voice again.
Wait, let's hear your Link. Go.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Nailed it. Wanna hear mine? Hi.
Nice. I want to be Batman.
Batman?
I want to be Kevin Conroy when I grow up.
I also want to be Samus when I grow up. No. Mine's silly. There's an RPG series called Etrian Odyssey, and you can pick like a male voice type when you create a character, and I just really want to be a party member, you know? Like when you create a dude and you pick someone who's like the go-getter type, it's like, yeah, let's do this! Or you pick the like tactical type who's like, I understand the enemy's weakness, you know? I just like the idea of being able to be these personalities, and then when you create someone from scratch, I get to go on the adventure with you. So, it's the simple things sometimes. We'll do this side. I saw you had a question.
Yeah, I have two questions actually.
Greedy.
I'm sorry. My first question is actually for you, Sean and Abby. Since, by the way, I love you guys' roles as Rena and Noelle. Awesome work. My question is, if you two were to travel to the world of Erebonia for at least 1 week, who would you, besides your own character, who would you choose as like someone to show you around, like what would be on your agenda?
I haven't played the game yet, so I can't choose.
Sarah Valentine. I would absolutely want to go drinking with her and go chill up. She seems like she knows how to have a good time outside of her studies, so I'd probably have a blast, for sure. I just answer Reen because then you get to travel in the mech, and everyone wants to pilot a mech at least
Oh yeah,
once in
that
their
sounds
life.
cool. Alright, I'll go with that until I get to play the game.
What was your second question?
My second question is actually for all you guys. If you, well, Abby, you've already heard this question before at another panel, but you can answer if you want. It's up to you. We know there's a lot of anime that have been still are Japanese, but they haven't been dubbed yet. If you, all four of you, could choose an anime that you either watched before, but you thought to yourself, man, I like this anime, it's really cool, I hope I get to dub it soon when there's an audition, what would you choose if you've seen it already?
I'll stall for time. There is one, anyone here familiar with Legend of Mana from the Mana series? If we know Secret of Mana or anything like that? Yeah. So when they re-released Legend of Mana on Nintendo Switch, they also worked on an anime that's supposed to be like an adaptation of one of the storylines of that game. And I sat there hoping that it would get dubbed into English. I still don't know if it is out or if they're still working on it. But if they are still working on it, I hope it gets dubbed, because I know that game like the back of my hand, and they could send me 30 character auditions, and I would be able to have a distinct voice in mind for all of them. So that is my hope. That's my bedtime prayer adaptation.
Yeah, I don't know any. Most of the properties that I know have gotten a dub, so I'm not really sure what doesn't have a dub that I would be. Anyone? No? You don't know.
Yeah.
Half the time, we get auditions for something and we go, oh, that's getting a dub. And then the other half of the time, we see a trailer for something and go, oh, I didn't know that was getting dubbed. I wish I got any auditions for that. So, you guys have a response, or?
I can't think of anything.
All right, we're going to the back this time. Man with weapon. It's okay, security. He's spawning.
I want to know, what, in your guys' opinion, this question is for all of you. If you could be in the world with one of your characters that you voice, which one would be the worst situation for you guys?
Wait, what was the question?
If we could be in the world, or if we were transported to the world that one of our characters we voiced lived in, which would be the worst world for us to end up in?
Bugsnap.
Did you say
Bug snacks?
Oh,
Bugsnax.
That's not what I heard at first.
Bugsnap.
That is one of those games that I still have not played, but the more I learn, the more scared I become. So, Bugsnax. All right. Do you want to tell us why, or is that spoilers?
I can't tell you why. You have to play to the end of the game, and then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would be the worst? Like, I don't know what would be the worst of all the worlds that I've been a part of. Probably. Oh, I mean, I'd probably JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like, if I had to hang out with Sekko, I would go. Like, I would let him basically just devour me. I would just like, hey, there's sugar in my body. You don't need sugar cubes. Like, I've eaten enough sugar in my life. Just have my arm. Just eat me.
So I voiced a character named Mamoru in this project called Mary Skelter, which is a visual novel, dungeon RPG, dungeon crawler. How do I describe this in a way that will be acceptable for this panel? Humanity has been trapped in a constantly growing prison that is trying to grow tall enough to reach heaven and take it over. They are all prisoners within this living jail cell that constantly inflicts pain and torture on them so that it can feed off of their suffering. And in order to keep them alive, it produces sustenance that they can only acquire by licking the walls. That is the premise of the game. And I don't think I would enjoy myself there, because it doesn't sound like there would be any outlets to plug my Nintendo Switch in, so I'd already be having a pretty bad time.
You don't lick the walls?
Not without checking.
You don't just lick the walls sometimes?
I've got the bathroom floor. What do I need the
that's
walls
true.
for?
Yeah, look at the wallpaper. Snowsberries, he's like Snowsberries. I don't know what kind of world would be bad necessarily, other than my inability to survive in them. So, Gurren Lagann, gonna have all this mech battle stuff. I'd probably end up dying like my character.
R.I.P.
All right, let's get backside over here.
Hi, I was just wondering, how did you guys all start? Like, how did you get into voice acting for people who are trying to learn and can't figure a way in?
How did you get into voice acting?
Hey, never been asked that before. Let's see, I started in radio, which I don't recommend people start, because radio is just not a thing anymore, really, because we're an on-demand society. and terrestrial radio like AM, FM, you know, tuning into the, outside of traffic reports, people just kind of listen to their own stuff. They Bluetooth their playlist to their car stereo and all that. But I did get, personally, I got my start from being a DJ on the radio in Dallas and hearing about open auditions at what was then Funimation and is now known as Crunchyroll. But if I were in today's climate and wanting to get into voice acting, I'd be really nervous because AI is a real threat to all of it. And then it's even more competitive than it was decades ago. But you've got to train and hone your skills as an actor first and foremost. It's not enough to be just a fan. It's not enough to do impressions. It's really about being the best actor you can and being able to create characters and improvise and have good cold reading skills and learning all these subtle things that really voice acting coaches over Zoom can help you learn, and you learn to find out what you're best suited for. That's my take.
So I got into voice acting up in Seattle, Washington, where I was born and raised, and there was a newsletter for the local convention, SakuraCon, that would be kind of just an advertisement bulletin board on the off seasons. And I saw an advertisement for a Japanese voice actor, Rune Sasaki, who worked in the 80s and 90s on a lot of stuff, the original Macross, Crusher Joe, a lot of OVAs and things like that. So I saw that she was teaching voice acting, and I was taking theater as an elective class in high school, kind of got bit by the bug and wasn't really serious about it, but then when I saw this, I was like, oh, no, I love this. I love this idea. This is my career right here. And I started taking her classes. She taught us the Japanese way of anime voice acting, which I had to unlearn when I moved down to California. So I started taking those classes. I went to college for theater. I majored in theater, and then after that, I was also flying down pretty much every year, every summer down to Anime Expo because they had the AX Idol competition, and that was a good way to get in front of Bang Zoom. And it was my friend Kira Buckland, Mitsuri in Demon Slayer, who told me about that. And sure enough, I competed for a few years. Sean, I know you won 2009. I won the following year, 2010. I wasn't allowed to compete in 2009 because I was a finalist in 2008.
We kind of ran a train on that competition for
We kind of did, yeah. I was a finalist in 2008 with Ego Raptor, of all people, from the Game Grumps. That was random. And then 2010 was actually the year I graduated college, so it was perfect. As soon as I graduated, I won that competition, saved up the money, and moved down to California.
What a power move.
Yeah.
I'm here. Start using me.
Yes. But that was my journey, and again, I will always say theater and improv are the best starts for any voiceover, and then when you're at home, just read magazines out loud, read books out loud, make your own audiobook, just try and get into different tonalities, characters. It's also going to help your cold reading as well.
Hello. Hi. I was also a theater major. Surprise. Once I graduated, eventually I found myself working in Tokyo as an actor. I was mainly doing children's stage musicals to teach kids English. And also just auditioning as an actor for whatever was available. And that's where I got my first little taste of the voiceover. Delicious. And so I fell in love with it and realized that I had to move back to the United States if I wanted to pursue voiceover, because all of the roles that I wanted, like in animation, video games, English dubbing, like that's all done in the States. Most of it. Sometimes there are exceptions. But yeah, it was hard to leave. It was hard to leave Tokyo, but I left and I started taking classes, and I also entered a contest hosted by Bang Zoom, and ended up flying to LA for the finale of this contest, and I got to dub my first anime after winning this contest. And then I realized that I had to move to LA. So after having just moved to New York City and started taking voiceover classes, 6 months later I moved to LA, and I've been there ever since. The end.
I'm gonna try and make this concise, but this is a topic I get very passionate about because I consider myself kind of the black sheep of the industry when it comes to my start, because I wasn't a theater major. I didn't have family that were also in theater. I didn't train under any of the greats, and my start really was more from a freelance perspective. And the way that I express it to people who want to get into it is, you know how folks describe like the 5 stages of grief of, it's not you finish one step, you go to the next. It is a multi-step process, but at any time you can go back to some of the previous steps and revisit them and expand upon them and then continue to move on. It's a rolling wave rather than a straight line. And I find voiceover to be the same way, because voiceover is steps, whether that's training or practice or opportunities or learning or research. And you don't finish training and then go on to performing. You train, you perform, you get critique, you go back, you refine, you get better, you find opportunities, you use the money to train even more. You take different classes, you work with different clients, you make new connections. Maybe you strengthen connections because someone that you worked on a game 5 years ago is now the localization lead at a different studio and they'd like to pitch you, but now you're even better than you used to be. So it's this constant rolling process of developing yourself as an individual. And so when I approach it from the guise of how do I get into it, you find what you have access to where you currently are, and you work it. You know, when I won the AX Idol competition in 2009, I was not done with college. In fact, I was done with freshman year of college. So I had 3 years left to go in a state not really well known for voice acting. And I had to figure out how I was going to maintain myself in the industry until I could move out to Los Angeles. So I was engaged in online communities like Voice Acting Club. I was pitching myself to indie animations on newgrounds.com. I was taking freelance jobs on Voice Bunny and Voice 123 back when they were still reliable. And then once I moved out, I started taking workshops. I let people know I was in the area. I was continuing to train. And even when we talk about the jobs that we do, you know a lot of us from video game and anime, but I guarantee you, all of these people were doing radio tags or corporate narrations or e-learning projects, or maybe I've done stuff as ESL for a foreign client in Japan or China or Russia. We dip our hands in as many different baskets as we can because, one, it's the craft and we love to do it, and two, because it's all opportunities. It's all ways to gain experience. So if there's something in particular you love to do, like I want to voice an anime, great, study the anime that's coming out. What about the performances are getting those people cast? You know, what are the types of characters that you as an individual can play really well? Train it, practice it, so that, you know, try out for, I mean, fandoms aren't, don't be ashamed of fandubs. It's just maybe something you don't want to put on your official resume. And as you get better, then you expand your skill set. You say, well, what other types of characters can I play? What are people looking for? What solutions can I provide within the industry? And you will find that a lot of the same things that make you successful as a voice actor just make you successful as a person in general. You know, this commitment, the monetary, the time, the effort, the ability to be adaptable, the professionalism, being a good person to work with in general, none of these are unique to VO. It's just being someone that other people want to work with. There are plenty of incredibly talented people who don't get work because they're a pain in the ass to work with. And there's plenty of people who still have lots of ways to improve, who are working all the time because they're a joy to be around. Myself being one of them. So yeah, that's just how that's a very baseline way to approach it. But the way it all boils down to is just do it. Like whether it's an online community or indie animation, because that's actually growing at an exponential rate, or online workshops, which are easier than ever to access, just immerse yourself and then find where it takes you from there, because there's so much out there. You just gotta do it instead of thinking about it. So, I hope that was an okay enough answer. Sorry, you guys. I'm very investigating.
And that's all the time we have for today.
I'm sorry! I want to be a voiceactor.com. I'm just going to answer that from now on. I want to be a voiceactor.com. All right, let's go all the way around here. I love the confidence. That's important too.
This one one's for you, Abby, but if Nezuko had a voice to talk with, what would she sound like?
Hello? Apparently nothing. My mic's not working. She would sound like this.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Nezuko does speak sometimes. Just not a lot.
All right.
I always joke because I love how, people want quotes on their Funko, so you have 50 variations of Nezuko out there probably?
There's a lot of Nezuko pops.
There's a lot of Nezuko pops. I just think of how quick it is for you to do a quote on there because this is pretty much.
I have a few, yeah.
When are we gonna get Bumblebee swimsuit Gohan?
Right?
It's me, Blake. If there's a Marvel or DC character, who would you rather voice in Marvel or DC?
I'm just gonna stop talking. I got to voice Wonder Woman in Multiverses, so that's more than I could ever hope for. For Marvel, there are lots of characters that I would love to voice, and maybe I'll get to do that someday. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
For me, my ultimate goal was always Peter Parker. I'd love to play Spider-Man someday, in some form or another. I always gravitated towards Peter Parker, but as time goes on and I get older and more jaded, I'm seeing myself more as a Spider-Punk than Spider-Man. I kind of align with that mentality a little bit more, but still would love to do Peter Parker someday.
As I said before, for DC, Batman for sure. Marvel-wise, I think it'd be awesome to be Gambit. I did audition for Gambit on Wolverine and the X-Men. It was not meant to be. I think Phil Lamar actually did it with that. But I'm Kyle Hebert. I am from Louisiana, and I thought I was a shoe-in for the Cajun, the name's Gambit. Remember it. I would love to be Gambit, no shit.
That's cool.
That would be so much fun.
Some folks know I have gotten to play Spider-Man, so kinship there, but I feel like, I don't know who's Marvel and who's DC, but if I had to pick a couple, I think I would do well with Shazam, because that's basically just a child trapped in a man's body from time to time.
That's DC.
That's DC, thank you. I also would enjoy Robin, whether it's a serious movie, as the counterpart to Batman, or Teen Titans Robin, because I like his silliness.
DC, that's DC. Pick another one, go.
Beast Boy? They're also DC.
That's DC, go. Another one, go.
I've already been in Marvel. I need to give equal time to the other side. Wonder Woman?
No.
Wow, discriminatory.
The Flash.
The Flash? Xeno.
Now, which Robin, though, is the question?
Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson, okay.
Yeah.
Probably Damian Wayne.
Batman's son.
Yeah. Very cool. Let's squeeze over here.
What do you think Kimerer's Farrakhan bug is?
What do I think? The lunar moth. I love lunar moths. I hope I have the right one. They're the moths are yellow and pink. They're very, very vibrant. I'll try and look it up on my phone when I come back up there, but.
I literally just posted an Instagram photo of that moth.
Yeah, it's a beautiful damn moth.
It's literally last week I posted that. That's
It's so pretty.
Weird and random.
I care about bugs because of Animal Crossing. That's the kind of person. I'm not kidding. When in high school, I took tennis because of Mario Tennis. That is how my inspiration's coming from. So they need to release a game called Mario Teaches Taxes or something like that. Then I'll be set for life. I want to grab folks who haven't asked questions yet. I know you haven't yet.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hey, I don't really have a question. I actually have a funny comment to point out. Because of the lighting setup, my camera's picking up glowing lines around Kyle and Abby, they're gods.
It's picking up what?
Is the light behind you is giving you kind of a glowy silhouette?
He's saying you're Jesus.
Yeah, we have holy auras around us.
So what does that make Erik?
It's not.
Choose carefully.
You can see, Sean, he's not glowing, but Abby.
You've got kind of the Harvey Dent vibe going on. You've got half of your face is in complete shadow and the other half is in light.
Yeah, are you the spawn of Satan though?
But you look at
twice removed.
Okay, that's probably why you don't have a
He's saying you're radiant, baby. You're glowing. You're fantastic. All right, what about you, Mr. Headphones?
What is one piece of media you think everyone should consume?
I would not consume any media. It's plastic and bad for your body. We already have so much of that micro stuff in our digestive system. One piece of media you think everyone should consume?
Princess Mononoke.
Yes.
Very important lesson about nature.
Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
Oh, good one. I have Gene Wilder and as Frankenstein and Igor hanging in my house. Yeah.
That's my favorite comedy of all time.
Beautiful artwork.
Because it seems to be dying, the box office, for multiple reasons, but if there's a way for people to go back to the theater, because seeing a movie theatrically amongst a bunch of fans, laughing and cheering together, like, watching the Avengers, the two-parter, and everybody just getting into that sort of group think mentality would be great to see again.
I can add on to that because I just saw Book of Mormon at West End when I was in London. And first of all, I spent most of that play going, okay, how many of these actors are British and how many of them are American on tour? They were all British, but you wouldn't have been able to tell because their American accents were so on point. Yeah. But it was the fact, because like when you're playing a game, when you're watching a show, you're hearing individual performances that are in their prime, that have been edited and everything. But there is something special about being in the theater, seeing people as a group all performing live in the moment, and the acting is on point and the singing is on point, and it hasn't been curated by like a sound designer because it's happening live right in front of you. And it's that kind of thing that leaves you this feeling of knowing that this is possible. I want to be that. I want to have that level of skill, of professionalism, of talent for myself. It's a different experience, so I 100% agree with that.
I was just talking with Sean last night about that. Like, remember when there was actual midnight releases? It wasn't like, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock on Thursday when it's releasing on Friday, or even like Wednesday will have some showings. Like, no, for certain movies back in the day, you had to be there midnight.
Right.
On midnight, and I miss that. I miss that for, like, even Avengers was a good experience. Like, my dad gets to tell me he got to see Star Wars opening weekend. I get to tell my future kids I saw Endgame opening weekend. And yeah, just hearing the cheering, the reactions to it is something that I don't know if we're going to get back to, but I want us to.
I want society to remember to, like, hey, put your phones away.
Yeah.
There's that great hilarious ad now with Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like, put your phones away with a bunch of F-bombs and everything. It's all beat, but beep, 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 but it's great. If we can all just go enjoy a movie, enjoy a play, enjoy a musical, enjoy live entertainment. Comedy, that's also a ton of fun. Watching stand-up.
Oh yeah.
This is a hard question for me to answer, and I was originally going to say Inuyasha because my wife has been watching that recently, and it made me realize, wow, this is such an old show by industry standards, but the performances are way less exaggerated than you think they would be, and I thought it would be important from a perspective of it's about acting, not about caricatures. But now that I really think about it, Star Wars, because I was at a con that themes itself after Star Wars, and they rent out the whole movie theater on the last day to do a special showing of one of the episodes, usually one of the original trilogy, and everyone's just in there watching the performances. And I had seen them as a kid, but this time I got to experience it as an adult. Sitting there, watching me like, that actor's way older. That actress has not been around for almost a decade at this point. And it was this very somber, humbling experience of seeing all of these actors who were much younger, interacting with each other, telling this grand space drama story. It just, I wish I could describe it to you in a way that would make sense without you just being there seeing it. But being able to appreciate the interactions between the actors and not just the lines being said by characters put it in a whole new light for me that made me walk out of that theater going, I get it now. I understand the fervent passion that the fandom has for these films and why they get so up in arms about whether the new trilogy is telling the same great story, because when it hits, it's a beautiful masterpiece. And it's not just a masterpiece of storytelling, but the acting and the interactions between those actors it's something else. And it almost ties into theater. It's people playing off each other, not just playing a role. So that's my recommendation to Star Wars. Yeah. What are we at for time right now?
We got about 18 minutes.
Nice. Okay. We got someone all the way in the back. Here you go.
Hello. My question is for Kyle. Can you do a Dragon Ball narrator voice saying, "Will Cell claim the citizens of San Antonio?" Please.
Will Cell play the what?
Claim the citizens of San Antonio. Find out next time.
Will Cell claim the citizens of San Antonio? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Complete with music.
I know. That's the craziest part to me is I remember coming home from school and just putting it on in the background and hearing your voice saying that, and to be at the panel sitting there. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna freaking cry. So if only you knew how often your beautiful melody was replaced by my cursing 5 minutes later while fighting people on Wi-Fi. Samus specifically was an ass and a half. There's like a whole ass umbrella back there. You look very cozy. Sorry, don't mean to call you out. All right, I saw that you had another question. One at a time.
Okay, for number one, the first one is actually for Kyle. Since it was never shown in the Dragon Ball Z TV show, in your opinion, what do you think Gohan's wedding to Videl would have been like?
One more time.
Since it was never seen in the show.
Okay. Since they never shown it in the Dragon Ball Z, any of the episodes, because what I've seen it, I've only seen Goku Chi-Chi's wedding. So in your opinion, what would Gohan and Videl's wedding be like? And for question 2 is for Abby.
Okay, we'll get to that.
What would their wedding be like? Well, I believe for a fact that Videl would choose everything and Gohan would just say, "Okay, whatever you want to do, dear." I mean, that's just, he's a simp for
Like
her.
the one time he speaks up about something, she shoots him just a look and he never speaks up for the rest of the planning period.
Yeah, right. Like, he'd want to play something cool and nerdy as the wedding march. It's like, no, Gohan, I don't think so.
This is the daughter of Mr. Satan, let's remember, so...
It's true.
They would probably put on a WrestleMania production for this.
Well, that would be cool. And if you have a wrestling theme song, and then if I could come out as Great Saiyaman.
Is Videl related to Vegeta at all? I'm trying to remember.
No.
Okay.
No.
No, Vegeta would probably be grumbling in the back of the, of the reception.
Right. All right, question number 2.
Question 2 is for Abby. For what I know, well, when I watched the Mugen Train arc, during the scene where, where Zenitsu saves Nezuko from the, when she swallowed up, and the way she looks at him, I could tell it was love at first sight. So if it's years in the future, if they were to get married, what kind of wife do you think she would be to Zenitsu? And also, if she found him cheating on her, found Zenitsu cheating on her with another woman or girl, what would she do to him? And I hope he understands Shuntaro soon.
Is there a Reddit history of yours I need to look out for?
Wow.
I read it on the wiki.
Okay.
First of all, I think Nezuko, whomever she marries, she would be a lovely wife too, because she is such a nurturing. We see this at the very beginning of Demon Slayer, before everything goes south. She takes care of her family and her siblings, and she has a very maternal vibe to her, very older, big sister vibe. Which is why I love when Mitsuri comes along and Nezuko's the chibi, so she becomes the little sister to Mitsuri and Mitsuri is the big sis. It's cute. But she's a very caring and selfless person, so I think whoever she's with, she would be a great companion too. If Zenitsu cheated on her, however, she would not tolerate that. And we all know that she can fight pretty well, so.
And I hope he understands Shintaro soon.
What's that?
I hope Zenitsu understands Shintaro whenever he's talking to him.
How many other questions do we have? I see we have one here, one here. Is that, you just brushing your nose? I mean, that could be a question. All right, so we'll do these two. Oh, you got one here? All right, so we'll go back, work our way back, 3 more, and then I have one last one that I think you guys will appreciate, and I think that'll wrap it up, so.
This question is for Abby.
Can you ask it as Mario, for me?
I can try. I'm not a voice actor. So when you've sung Lifelike for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so that song, because it also has a Japanese version. So I'm curious, was the Japanese version done first? And did you listen to that? Or did you just, like what did you have to work with first?
I did not get to listen to the Japanese version. I was given sheet music and scoring tracks and vocal tracks to reference, but it was kind of up to us, the English interpretation. I say us meaning me and Greg Chun, who is the voice director, also an extremely talented voice actor. Do you guys know Greg Chun? He voices Muzan. Yeah.
The villain.
And a bunch of other stuff. He's fantastic. But he's also a brilliant composer, and he's a pianist, and he helped us work it out. And there were reps from Nintendo there too, overseeing it, of course, and making sure that we liked the vibe that we were getting. I don't know. I imagine that they had probably listened to the Japanese version, but we did our own thing, yeah.
If they offered it to you, would you sing a Splatoon song in Splatoon lyrics?
Yes. I would.
Speaking of Mario teaching taxes, we have an FBI member here, so.
What's up? They wanted the question.
Oh, okay.
So atrocities aside, if you are all your characters' trauma, if you could be any of them, who would you be? Trauma and atrocities aside, who would you be?
If you could be any of your characters, ignoring any trauma or atrocities that they would be dealing with, who would you want to be? Good vibes only.
Wonder Woman. I guess superpowers, man.
Probably Ryuji from Toradora, because then I get the superpower of actually cleaning my room in the house and cooking and all that stuff. I could be responsible for once.
Oh, that is a responsible answer. I'm like, superpowers.
You can clean your room with superpowers. I don't have a character that can, maybe Speed of Sound Sonic, honestly. He can clean the room pretty quickly if he ever put his mind to it.
That's true.
But then he'd probably just, ball his nuts on a post or something, as he always does.
I'd like to be the manliest man in Maname, Escanor.
Oh man, I don't know who I would want to be. This is difficult. If my default is either Revali or Teba, but not even because of living in the Legend of Zelda, but because of the fact that they're birds. And one of the most common dreams that I tend to have is does anyone have those dreams where you can kind of glide along the ground rather than walk, or you just kind of move in the direction like a hoverboard or something like that? I love that shit. It's so good. So if I could actually glide in the air and fly like a bird does, I'm sure any of my bird roles would qualify for that. You know what? I voiced a female chicken once named Gilda. I want to be a chicken. I want to have the daydreams that a chicken has, and then just kind of come to and peck at the ground for a while. That's a simple life. All this business, I'm done with it. I'm gonna return to chicken. I want to be a chicken. All right, last one. Was it you? Yeah? Okay. Fellow chicken liker.
So this is for you, Abby. Can you do a Nezuko voice saying good morning?
Good morning.
That's amazing.
Thank goodness.
All right, the last question for you guys. We often get asked, what advice would you give to people that are just starting out? But what I want to know is, if you could say one thing to yourself from 20 years ago, what do you think would have the greatest impact on younger you that you could impart on them that you know today that you didn't know back then?
Go to therapy.
I was going to say that. Stop putting therapy off.
Yeah, therapy should be required in elementary school. Life skills should be taught, like banking, how to balance a checkbook, budgeting, life skills, especially now, because people have a very difficult time in social situations. And I think, boy, if you knew a pandemic was coming and we were all going to be isolated for like several years, it's like, how can we prepare?
Oh, and I also tell them to buy Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, buy a lot of Bitcoin.
Buy Apple stock.
I did say greatest impact, so you know what? That's
A more specific thing besides just go to therapy. I would say all you can do is your best. So as long as you show up and you do your best and you're open and you're trying hard and you are yourself, you are enough. You're enough. And don't get hung up on what you're not. Focus on what you are. And yeah, don't compare yourself to other people. Never. It's just a waste of time.
Yep. There's a lot of things you can't control in the world. But you can control how you react to the things going on in the world. You have more power than you think. So if you're going through your life going, oh, I blame so-and-so for this, it's their fault, it's their fault. Once you start to take accountability and responsibility for choices and look back at situations that could have played out very differently, I think having that perspective and a shift in mindset is going to increase the quality of your life.
Man, I'm gonna be like super serious to my own question. If I had to think of something, I'm sure 20 years younger me would be like, what the hell are you talking about? But I think the one that rings the most true to me is show love to the ones you love, and that includes yourself. It's way too easy to get wrapped up in the sensation that, you know, we're all busy with our own lives and we don't want to be bothered by other people, or I'll make time for them next month, or I'll make time for them next year. You know, I thought I was going to get to visit my dad, and then the pandemic happened and I didn't get to see him for 6-7 years. And for that entire span of time, I couldn't help but think to myself, was the last time I saw him going to be the last time that I saw him? And whether it's a pet or a friend or a family member or just a colleague or someone that means a lot to you, we often forget that there's a finite amount of time that we have on this world. And it's such a waste to spend it hating people and being mad at things and cursing the things we have no control over, instead of celebrating the things that we enjoy and supporting the people that make us happy and giving some love to ourselves in the process. Because as they've said, we all bring something to the table. We all have something that we're passionate about. We all have something that we can provide insight on that maybe other people didn't think about. So whenever you're unsure what to do, whenever you're at a loss of what to do with your time, if nothing else, give some love to someone, because I guarantee you, at the very least, it will make that person's day, and it may actually change their life. So that's my answer to that.
But hey, we're just voice actors. What do we know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I believe we're wrapping it up then. Well,
I would love if you guys came and bought my wife's candles at my table, which I will be at right after this panel. So
yeah, we'll be hanging out at our tables just down this hallway, so please come say hello to us.
Thank you so much for coming. If you guys have any other questions, come chat with us at our tables.
Please.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for the love, y'all.